Welcome to the Oddity Shop, where the bizarre is always on sale.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Oddity Shop. I am sitting here with Kara.
Hello.
Hello. Why are you already laughing at me?
Because you were mid-sentence and then realized you wanted to talk about it on the podcast, so you just stopped and then just did an intro.
You know, sometimes you gotta flip right into gear when you have good stuff coming.
Okay.
How's your, I almost said weekend going, but we're recording on Sunday, which is weird. We're usually a Tuesday recorder and then out Thursday, so.
I don't know what we are. You know what? Okay, this is what I think that we messed ourselves up. We set ourselves up for a little failure when we were trying to not set ourselves up for stress. So we were like, you know what? We want this to be fun. We don't want this to feel like a chore, a job, be stressful. Like we're doing it for fun for you and me. And I think we got a little too lax with that and realized that we had nothing recorded, nothing written.
We did really good because we got way ahead for the holidays. And then I think we both just like, as the holidays ended, we're like, oh, we're still ahead.
And we weren't.
And then we realized we're like 4 days out from an episode and have nothing ready to go.
Yeah, no research, nothing written, whatever. So I think that by us being a little lax in this, we kind of set ourselves up for a small failure. So I'm going to try really hard on my 2 days off to write as much as I possibly can. That way I just have it all.
For like being a little bit behind, we're still...
Oh, no, we're fine. But
somehow we pumped out an episode every week, which I'm shocked by. Like, I thought by now we'd be like, all right, guys, we're going to need a break in between here.
See, I didn't think that yet. But today I was like...
Yeah, today.
Do we really have to record? And then I'm like, yeah, because it's Sunday and this needs to go up Thursday.
You get to see my beautiful face now, extra. All right, what'd you do all weekend?
Don't even ask me. Tell me about what you were going to tell me. Jersey Mike's.
I was just going to tell you, yeah, me and Julia passed by Jersey Mike's today, and I knew Kara was going to make fun of me for getting it for dinner, because I used to eat it every day when we worked together.
Mm-hmm.
But we drove by, and then we were trying to figure out what we wanted for dinner. I'm like, oh, Jersey Mike's sounds good. And then I got it, and it's just disappointing.
It's not going to be good in a couple hours when it starts coming out your butthole like it always did.
We used to call it the Jersey Mike's cleanse. It never did me right, but it at least usually tastes good going in without getting too crude.
Anyway,
what's new with you? What's going on?
Nothing. I have nothing to talk about. You already know everything that's going on, and it doesn't need to be put on this podcast. But I do have a question for you.
All right. What's your question?
If you witnessed a murder, what would you do?
How close am I?
Maybe like you were like looking out your kitchen window or something.
I would make sure the door is locked and then immediately call the cops.
Okay, you would call the cops. The question that I saw was, if you witnessed a murder, would you just pretend you didn't see it, or would you call the cops?
Oh, no, I would call the cops for sure.
Right. Unless you were
Is there a reason why you ask? Because if not,
no.
I have a story.
No, there is legit no reason.
Okay, have you been following is it the Utah murders? Have you been following that at all?
I have not, no.
So one of the roommates is getting a lot of flack online right now because...
Honestly, I don't even know if I know about this.
Basically, it seems like a random killing. 4 people were killed in just like a college house in, I think it's Utah. I'm 99% sure it's Utah, but now that I'm saying it, I'm second guessing myself. But 2 of the roommates who lived in the basement survived the attack. Mm-hmm. One of the girls, I guess, heard stuff, saw the murderer leave, and then just locked her door, but didn't call the cops till the next day.
What?
It's probably just trauma response. You know what I mean? And
maybe.
She also didn't leave her room, so she didn't know if they were just attacked or what. But
so they don't think that she's part of it. They're just giving her shit for not calling. Okay.
Right. Which, like, you can't give somebody...
No,
you have no idea how traumatic that is. You have no idea how you'd actually react.
Exactly. You have no clue what you would do.
Anyways, if you saw a murder, what would you do?
I'd call the cops.
Join in?
Probably, depending on who it is.
That's very fair. What are you drinking tonight?
Mom went to Black Star Farms for me when she was in Traverse. So this is their pear wine.
Very nice.
It's very delish.
Good, good. I've got my trusty water.
And you had Pepsi.
Yeah, water and Pepsi.
Which, ew.
I'm getting real crazy tonight. All right. What do you got for me this week?
I'm just going to get into it.
That's why I asked you what you had for me this week.
I know, but I'm not going to tell you what I have.
Okay, gotcha.
Idiot.
I love when you say it that way because
no, I didn't.
Your husband has said idiot that way for so long that you picked it up. Now I picked it up for making fun of you.
But I didn't even say it how I normally said it. But
Idiot.
But I told Tracy that we figured out it actually came from her.
Oh, that's wonderful. Look, she's just leaving a legacy behind.
Idiot. Okay. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I'm not. Okay. Wusa. A typical school day in Latvia, 1845. A 32-year-old, I think her name is pronounced Emily. I'm going with Emily. Sage, which is Sagee, with the little, so I think it's Sage.
We'll go with that.
Sage. Okay. All right. Anyway, she's facing her chalkboard.
Is she at school?
As any school teacher would be when they're writing notes to be copied. All of her students, or all of a sudden she hears a scream, and then it's followed by multiple more screams.
So she has like her back to the classroom.
Correct, because she's facing the chalkboard and she's like writing her lesson or whatever they're supposed to be copying. She hears a scream, followed by a couple more screams. So now she's kind of irritated, because her lesson's interrupted. So she turns and sees 17 girls that are in her class. So she has a class of 17 girls. They're all in complete fear. They're screaming and in complete fear, which I don't know why. It just seems so funny to me.
But she doesn't see what's going on.
Okay, listen. So these are not just your I'm a teenage girl and I just seen Justin Bieber scream. These are terrifying screams. So once Emily realizes her students are looking at her in terror, she mutters to herself, "Not again."
Oh, no.
So you probably now remember what I was going to cover.
No, I'm actually still completely in the dark.
What do you think?
Okay, a bunch of 17-year-old girls are screaming at their teacher. Is she a man or a woman? I said she, so she, right?
Yeah, Emily.
Emily, okay.
It's okay.
I'm just picturing maybe she had stitches that ripped open or something, and she's like,
blood.
Right, that would be something I would scream at, but I don't know.
Okay, well, a doppelganger is a biologically unrelated lookalike, a double of a living person.
Oh, yeah, okay.
In mythology, a doppelganger is often portrayed as a ghostly or paranormal phenomena, usually seen as a harbinger of bad luck. Other stories refer to a doppelganger as an evil twin. Twin stranger is commonly used now. It's actually a whole hashtag thing, like twin stranger on Instagram or something. I don't know. And then in German, doppelganger actually, I guess, means double goer.
I want to ask you a question, but I feel like you're probably going to get to it. So doppelganger isn't just that person who looks like you on the street. This is an exact copy of yourself. So
here are some doppelganger superstitions and theories according to Bustle. So seeing your doppelganger is an omen of death. English and German folklore state seeing your doppelganger means death will follow, especially seeing it in threes. Doppelgangers give malicious advice. So many believe doppelgangers are your evil twin and supposedly give bad advice or plant sinister ideas in their victim's head, basically representing good and evil.
Okay.
If someone sees your doppelganger, you might be very ill. So you definitely don't want to see your own doppelganger, but somebody else seeing yours is also not really good.
So seeing it in general is just bad.
Yeah. A doppelganger is a ghost version of you. This is said to be a version of you that lived before. A doppelganger is a spiritual double. So ancient Egypt believed a doppelganger is the same as the Ka, which a Ka is a spiritual double born in everybody. If you die, your Ka will live on. But this is only if your Ka has somewhere to go, usually the person's body. This is why Egyptians mummified the dead so that they wouldn't decay. So they would leave a place for the Ka to go back to. Is that what you're going to say?
Okay. No, I was going to say that's just kind of how they explained away their version of a ghost back then. Made sense of it.
Kind of.
Okay.
And then doppelgangers are your evil double from the underworld. So Native Americans believe there is an upper world and an underworld.
So like some as above, so below kind of.
So good people live in the upper, bad in the lower, and your doppelgangers are basically the evil version. So they're in the lower. Even a picture of your doppelganger is a bad omen. I'm going to butcher this, but I want to say it's the Canalos Indians of South America hated portraiture and photography because they believe pictures captured the soul. Because of this, they believe the soul pictures become the double.
Interesting. That's kind of like how Amish school of thought is too. Like they don't like having their picture taken because it's soul trapping.
Right. And then another thing is a doppelganger is a sign of an alternate universe, which we can't even get into this because...
No, multiverse theory just takes way too fucking long.
And it really upsets me. Okay.
Wait, why does it upset you?
Because it's just it's so likely, it's so unknown, it's so weird.
And the human brain just can't, like, you can understand it, but it's like at the same time, I can't wrap my head around it.
And you can't, like, if we were to sit down and try to, like, explain it, it's really hard, even though it isn't. I don't know. I just can't. Okay.
Or the definition of abstract.
Yes. At this point, Emily had taught at 19 schools.
Good Lord.
After this day and for the semester, more students, staff, servants, and parents would encounter Emily's doppelganger.
So are they saying it right next to her?
Listen, but Emily herself never would. What her class of 17 witnessed that day was the teacher writing on the board. Only a replica, exact in every way but more pale, appeared right beside her. It was mimicking her every movement. It was even writing without chalk. So could you just imagine you're just like, taking your notes, and you just like look up and you're like,
I would probably think something is wrong with me at first. Like, am I having an aneurysm? Like I'm seeing double.
So how the stories are mostly written is there's like this one student, her name was Giselle, I think, and she was the first one to scream, and she was apparently like the teacher's pet. Like she loved this teacher, like she sucked up to her a lot, so she was always the like one like first to take the notes and whatever. So she was done first, looked up, seen this, and started screaming. The rest of the girls were like, what's wrong with you, type of deal, and then they realized, what the hell? Then they all start screaming. So I'm sure she probably did think that maybe she was going crazy. But yeah.
Can't fault her for that.
No, because that's definitely what I would think. On one occasion, her doppelganger was seen sitting beside the real Emily, eating silently while the real Emily did her work. And she never sees this. Never.
So did they see it over the course of like time, or was this all in the same day that it happened?
No, this is all after that day at this school. This was all like a bunch of occurrences.
So weird.
I just don't know. I don't know. I just couldn't imagine. Like, you don't see that thing that looks just like you sitting next to you. I think that I would think that she had a twin and she's just screwing with everybody. I think that's what I would.
Right? Like a group of 17-year-olds. Yeah. Easy to like pull off a prank or try to get a fright out of them.
Mm-hmm. This is like the eeriest one, I think. So 42 girls witnessed her out their class window. So they were in a sewing class, and they saw her out in the garden. So what I kind of pictured is like, you know how like a school has like a little garden in the middle and the school goes around. That's kind of what is that called?
That's exactly how my school was, a courtyard.
That's kind of what I envisioned. Like they're in this class, they look out the window, they see her gardening, whatever, they don't think anything of it. Their sewing supervisor stepped out, took a little break, whatever. Emily apparently walked into the classroom and sat down. This wasn't really questioned until a student pointed out that Emily was still in the garden, gardening.
So which one was the real Emily?
So rightfully so, all these children are terrified. A few of the brave ones, though, approached this imposter that was in the classroom. They tried to touch it.
No, you could not pay me money to be that person.
They stated that their hands went through her. This is so troubling. It was described feeling like they put their hand through a bunch of cobwebs.
Ew, no. Oh, that's such an uncomfortable feeling on your hand.
Ew. Ew. Ew.
I just hate things on my hand in general, but especially webs. Ugh.
And then she just kind of like dissipated. Ew. I would freak out.
Okay, so what happened to Emily? If this is supposed to be a bad omen, I feel like something tragic is happening to her.
One student requested, so this is a boarding school. So one student requested that she get help buttoning up the back of her dress. Because remember, this is 1845. So they have all those buttons and shit, whatever. As she's looking at herself in the mirror, she clearly saw two of her teacher buttoning up her dress. How creepy is all of this? Because it's just such random things. She's eating.
At least they got the dress buttoned up faster.
I mean, I guess. I don't know. Because it's just basically mimicking. It's not doing anything. It's just mimicking. Right. Several students saw Emily eating in the dining hall with her doppelganger right next to her, eating from an invisible bowl and spoon. Student after student started to complain along with her with staff and parents, and Emily Sage was let go from her 19th school because her life was yet again ruined by what she couldn't see. It was said that she fled to Russia and was never heard from again.
So did all 19 schools, it was the same reason that she was getting fired for over and over?
That's why when all those girls were screaming, she said, not again.
Oh my God. Maybe at that point, find a new profession. I guess they probably weren't working from home in the 1800s, though.
But what the hell would you do in 1845 to even figure out what was going on? How would you even know? Yeah,
your only option is to go to a doctor who's going to just treat you for being hysterical. Crazy. Yeah. But
you wouldn't be the crazy one. Everybody else would be I don't know. Isn't that weird?
How did nothing bad happen to her, though, if it's supposed to be a bad omen?
Well, it ruined her life. She could never keep a job and she had to fled to Russia.
I mean, I guess that's true.
Okay, so here are a few more stories. I actually did find quite a bit, and I just picked a couple ones. So Guy de Wait, I freaking had the... Hold on. I can't say his name.
You got this. I have faith in you.
Yeah, me too, because...
Was he a long time ago, too? Because if you get the name wrong, it's not...
Maupassant. Guy de Maupassant.
I love that you just went to, what was that? Google.
I just typed in his last name pronunciation, and then it just popped up. Perfect. Okay, he's a French novelist, okay?
Okay.
Okay. He had a doppelganger experience in 1889 that provoked curiosity and inspired one of his short stories called Lou, which I guess means he. Apparently, while Guy would write his stories, he claimed his doppelganger would casually stroll in his study, sit down, and critique his work.
So he is seeing it.
Yes. And he claimed to have multiple encounters with his doppelganger. I will note that he did end up being committed at a mental institution.
I was going to say, this sounds like brain tumor to me.
So it's sad that was what contributed to the doppelganger. But I don't know, because we know better than this, because I don't know. I think it was his doppelganger.
I mean, other than the mental hospital, was it a bad luck omen for him?
Well, he got put in the mental hospital.
Yeah, but those are not omens of bad things that are happening. It's just an effect. Both of those, without the doppelganger, they wouldn't have had the bad thing happen to them.
Right. So that was the bad thing that happened to you. You met your doppelganger, and then you got put in the mental institution, and you got fired from all your jobs. What more do you want for these people?
I don't know. I feel like the omen doesn't usually create the bad thing, where this is
Okay. John Donne was a 16th century poet. Donne had left for Paris. I believe it was for work. He left his pregnant wife at home. John claims while in Paris, he was visited by his wife. She was holding a newborn baby, but she looked very, very dreadfully sad.
Oh, no.
Apparently, at the time of this bizarre encounter, his real wife had given birth, and it was stillborn. Is that good enough for you?
Well, no, that's the one that just makes sense to what other people were saying it. So there's other explanations for it other than just bad omen.
Well, yeah, because it's said that if people see your doppelganger, something's you're sick, something's wrong with you, and he saw hers and she lost the baby.
Oh, that's tragic, though.
Abraham Lincoln.
Oh.
You didn't know this? This is actually pretty,
You keep talking to me about doppelgangers, but it's not one that I've ever really, dug into.
I love doppelgangers. Okay. Lincoln actually saw his doppelganger the night of his first election. He was relaxing on the couch and glanced at the mirror. He saw himself and another himself, but pale. Or ghosty looking.
Triplet doppelgangers.
No,
Doppelganger.
well, I guess it would be because you're looking at you. No, it was just 2. It's not triple.
Yeah, but instead of it being your twin, right, there's 3 of them, triplets.
There's not 3 of them.
There's the original and 2 others.
How is there 2? Just because you're looking in the mirror?
You said he saw 2 of them.
No, he saw himself in the mirror, and then he saw another of himself.
Oh, okay. I misheard you.
Clearly. Anyway, when he stood up from the couch, it faded away. Lincoln's wife was hysterical after she found this out. Because remember, seeing your own doppelganger is a bad omen and brings death, supposedly. And his wife was certain that this meant he would not survive the presidency. Spoiler. He didn't.
Yeah. Wait, how did that end again? No,
he was assassinated. And this is why, no matter how good
how do you make assassinating lighter? Assassinated.
Like the Grinch. Assassinated.
Oh my god.
I can't cancel that again.
Just stop with the Grinch voice.
Do you feel the most powerful and beautiful with the elements of the earth around you? Do you like one-of-a-kind jewelry? Do you sometimes feel like a woodland fairy? Me too. That's why I created Holly and Hemlock, a magical shop filled with handmade wooden jewelry and metaphysical tools. Come check out our enchanting wooden wares at www.hollyhemlock.com and join us in honoring the magic and beauty of nature with each unique creation. That's www.hollyhemlock.com.
Anyway, this is why no matter how good looking you are, you should never want to meet your twin stranger.
I mean, there's already so much good that I brought into the world. The world can't handle 2 of me, so I don't need to be seeing my doppelganger.
Oh my God. So I do have side notes because in the research, these 2 topics come up quite a bit, but I'm going to be honest with you. I couldn't sit myself down to even like branch off more to like, so I'm just going to read you. So a wraith comes up a lot when you're searching doppelgangers, which makes sense. So a wraith is a ghost or ghost-like image of someone, especially one seen shortly before or after death, which that makes sense.
Right.
And then the other one that comes up a lot, which also makes a lot of sense, is biolocation, which is alleged psychic or miraculous ability wherein the individual object is located in 2 distinct places at the same time. And there's so many freaking stories about that. Like,
I feel like I've heard some stories about that too.
There's
which is
so
just like
much. Like, yeah. God, I'm trying to think of that one that's like really. There's a really well-known one, but yeah. So that's kind of the same thing. But usually that's where the person, like, it would be me being here with you right now, and I know everything that's going on. Like, I know everything. But then I happen to be sitting in Wisconsin with Taylor, and I also know everything that's happening. Like, I literally was in 2 different places, having 2 different like scenarios where I feel like a doppelganger that's not that.
It's not the same body in 2 places at once. It's like something acting as.
Yeah, I don't know. That's why, I don't know.
We weren't going to talk about it, right? But it kind of gets into that dimensional thing, right? So like the seeing double, I don't know, you shouldn't be able to, but somehow it is happening. Or it's like, it's almost like deja vu happening in real life, right? Like
Kinda, yeah.
Somehow you're tapping into an energy something that's allowing you to see double.
I know you never watched Vampire Diaries, which is fine, but there is like the whole series, so much shit about doppelgangers, and like, it's crazy. But it is really interesting when you think about it. And it's crazy because if you look up #twin stranger, it's like all over, like when people randomly run into somebody that looks like so almost identical to them. And it really freaks me out.
Right. Because there's like the everyday use of the word that we have, like, oh, I met your doppelganger today, like somebody who looks just like you. But there's,
yeah, but that's
I think the ones that always kind of get me are the like where you see a historical photo and then what somebody looks like today, like,
yes.
And they look exactly the same.
Yes, there's one. Nicolas Cage has one. It's like creepy.
Oh, yeah. God, I was just looking at another one that.
Yeah, that's so funny that you said that because I literally just looked at a bunch. But you know what's also weird is that like Emily's doppelganger never spoke.
I was gonna say did the other ones, but yeah, the other one was critiquing his own work. What about Lincoln's? Well, Lincoln's was only
Lincoln just saw
he saw
quickly,
it in
and so did the
reflection.
other one. And I didn't really see any that actually said that they spoke. And I mean,
And see, without it speaking, like that's what leads me to believe it's something mimicking you.
Right.
Which I guess, I mean, if it's a spirit or a wraith or something paranormal, right? Like it doesn't have a physical manifestation, so it wouldn't be that hard to
mimic,
disguise yourself as something else. Maybe it's almost easier to disguise yourself as something you're experiencing rather than trying to like manifest it's true. I don't know. It's so metaphysical and I suck at explaining anything like metaphysical like that, but
I don't know.
Wild.
It is so wild and I just can't. Okay, like the other ones are really crazy. Like Lincoln's crazy. John saw his wife and the baby, weird. That other guy might just be crazy. I don't know. But like Emily's, and why I like did more on her is because it legitimately ruined her life. And she never even saw it.
Right? Like that's
How
I feel like
weird.
it's hard for me to believe that they themselves are an omen of bad things.
Well, what else do you think it would be then? It was why like
it's just something like malicious.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Because I feel like an omen is almost like they're never inherently the bad guy. They're just the warning of the bad thing to come. But if they're the ones straight up creating the situation. Right. Mothman's my go-to.
I almost bought you a t-shirt for Christmas that said Mothman is my boyfriend.
I think Nick would be a little bit jealous. But,
that's why I was like, I don't know if Nick would appreciate this.
I mean, Nick on a road trip also drove 4 hours out of the way so I could go touch the Mothman's butt.
Did he really have a choice, though? You were driving. It was your family trip.
He did sleep.
Right.
So he got some extra rest in the car.
But yeah, I don't know. It makes me, I could have really like delved way, way farther into this.
So you doing the research, what do you think it is?
I don't know if it's just because I've just known this for my entire life that you just don't want to see your doppelganger. I don't know what it is, but I just don't think it's good. I just don't want to see it. I don't want nobody else to see mine. I want nothing to freaking do with it.
I mean, I wouldn't want to see yours either. I think one of you is more than enough for me to handle.
What if it didn't talk?
Oh, then I'd keep that one.
Yeah, you would. I knew your answer. How would you have this podcast?
That would make it a little bit difficult. I wonder if I could pay it off. Just talk
for what?
Once every couple weeks. I just need you to talk for an hour. Yeah.
It can't talk.
Oh.
Then what?
Then I guess I'd have to keep you.
Speaking of that, we had been talking about this earlier yesterday, something like that, of how hard it would be to have a podcast by yourself.
I could not do
and
it. Like,
you actually had a nightmare about it?
I really did. So because I watch a lot of, I'll do a lot of video podcasts. So I watch them on YouTube of people doing it, right? And it's like, when I'm watching it, right, like they're talking to me, it makes sense. But like thinking about them being the ones to record it to it, like, you know, on the other side of their mic, there's just a camera. You're not seeing any reaction. You don't have anything to play off of. And I straight up, so I've been having nightmares for a couple of days in a row, but one of them that stuck out to me is me and Kara got into a big fight, and
because we did get into a fight.
Not really though. We were just tired after the holidays. Whatever.
It was a fight.
Anyways, no. So I had this dream that I was going to continue the podcast by myself, but I couldn't even get like a sentence out because I had nobody to talk to. So I guess I would pick you over your doppelganger.
Okay, well, this brings me into so there's this podcast. It's an Odd World After All podcast, and they actually reached out to us and was, you know, they complimented a couple of our episodes, and so I went to theirs and I started listening. And Jensen is her name, and she does it all by herself. And I was telling Zach yesterday morning that I was like, it's kind of crazy because I couldn't do that. Because I feel like I'd be waiting for somebody to for commentary or whatnot. And she does it very well, where she just doesn't speak as if she's like, she speaks as if she's talking to people, but like, how do you?
She has like a really good delivery of it. It doesn't feel like a one-sided conversation.
Delivery. That's what I was trying to say. But anyway, it's cool because it's paranormal. She calls her little listeners oddballs too, which I think is cute. And what I really like is it's kind of like for more people, I would say like you, only because you don't drive a lot, and a lot of people listen to podcasts in the car, and her podcast episodes are like max 15 minutes.
Which is, that's great for me because without driving, right? Like I don't have attention span or time to listen to super long ones. And
right.
I can't tell you how many podcasts I stop and then I never finish. So they're like perfectly digestible, good
Right.
little like concise stories.
Where I drive really far every day for work. I drive an hour, so I have like all the time in the world. But it's cool because she just picks some Reddit creepy stuff from Reddit and she'll read it. And she has some cool stuff about paranormal equipment and things like that. And I don't know, I've just been enjoying it. I kind of binged it all because they were like short ones. So I binged a bunch of it. I'm like, this is like cool. I've just been, I've been really more into paranormal podcasts lately than true crime, which is normally what I've listened to. So I just wanted to give that a shout out because it was just one of those weird, what is the word?
Synchronicities.
Thank you. Where it was like you literally had a nightmare about this as I was like, I'm telling you that we could never be her. And you had a nightmare about it. And I'm like, okay, that's freaking weird. Anyway.
And we'll drop the name of her show down in the show notes too if you want to check it out. Like we said, they're really great, really short, but go show her some love.
Yes, please. And then show us some love, please.
That'd
like
be
all
great.
The things, comment on my stuff. Our stuff.
Reach out to Kara on social media.
Give us some of your stories. God, we're dying and no one's giving us. I need people's stories.
We know you have stories. In fact, I've talked to at least 3 of you this week who told me you had stories, and I told you to submit them online, and our inbox is waiting.
Right. And it could just be directly to our email. It could be our, you can message us on Instagram. It doesn't have to be our Linktree. I don't really care. Give me the stories.
You can hear it in Kara's voice. She wants them. She's getting grumpy about it. There we go.
Please. It's almost my birthday. She'll give them to me.
And if you don't, she's going to sick her doppelganger on you.
I bet I do have the ability to make one. I was going to say astral project, but then I'm like, that's a whole other damn topic that I can't get into right now.
Yeah, no, okay. We don't have the time.
So, do all the things, and we love you and we thank you. And what episode is this?
This is episode 16.
Can you believe
16
people have listened to us 16 times? I was gonna say 16 weeks, but that's not true. 16 times at least.
Can you believe that we've been consistent enough to follow through to do it 16 times?
Okay, goodbye. Nobody cares. And we love you. And most of all, creep it real, oddballs.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Oddity Shop.